My Omega has vanished. In his place, a counterfeit has emerged. His appearance, demeanor, pheromones, compatibility with me, and even all his memories are indistinguishable from those of my Omega. Everyone insists that he is the genuine article. Even my pheromones are fervently proclaiming that this is indeed my Omega. A sudden barrage of comments flashes before my eyes, declaring, "This is your Omega." How can the protagonist suddenly lose his mind and fail to recognize his own mate? Be wary of the future pursuit of your wife. Yet, the rhythm of my heartbeat tells me he is not the one. Thus, I must embark on a quest to find my true Omega. 01. Li Fanqing is the Omega whom I pursued throughout my university years and finally brought home. Upon graduating, I clung to him until we obtained our marriage certificate. Today marks the 7th anniversary of our union. It is often said that 7 years brings about a sense of monotony, yet I find myself loving my Omega more deeply with each passing day. As I gaze upon him, his eyes glistening with tears, my heart swells with an overwhelming affection. The intense emotions swirling within me manifest as the fragrance of sandalwood pheromones, intricately entwined with the scent of bluebells. Inseparable. Xing Xing. I lean down to kiss away the tear that has slipped from his eye, whispering softly, "I love you dearly." The Omega trembles slightly, momentarily lost, yet he senses the depth of my love and returns my affection with a kiss. "Ashu, I love you too." 02. I had believed that Xing Xing and I would remain in blissful harmony forever. Even in death, we would be laid to rest together. However, it seems that fate conspired against my happiness, playing a cruel jest upon me. At 7 in the morning, I awoke, intending to bestow a morning kiss upon the Omega in my arms, and then rise to prepare breakfast for him after a long night. Yet, just as my lips were about to meet his, an unsettling realization struck me. I placed my hand over my heart, feeling its steady rhythm. It was normal, even, and utterly unremarkable, but it should not beat so calmly. It ought to race uncontrollably with joy upon seeing Xing Xing. I felt as though I had lost the spark of exhilaration I once felt for my Omega. 03. Finally, after 7 years, Heartbeat has released its second installment. Xing and Shu, I've missed you both so much. Come here for a kiss, my darlings. Has anyone finished it yet? How sweet is it? Does that even need to be asked? Heartbeat 1 was so sweet. Heartbeat 2 must be even sweeter. You're mistaken. For those craving sweetness, don't bother clicking in. The story starts with the protagonist waking up in a frenzy, claiming the Omega isn't his and telling him to leave. The barrage of comments before me left me momentarily dazed until the latest one jolted me back to reality. How could I possibly lose my spark for Xing Xing? The truth was evident. The being beside me was not my Xing Xing. He was an imposter. My hand found its way to the imposteress neck, fingers tightening slowly. Surely, if the imposter perished, my Omega, my Xing Xing would return. The imposter awoke, gasping for breath, his face flushed from lack of oxygen. He struggled against my grip, revealing the red marks I had left on this body during our passionate moments. This was Xing Xing's body. Instantly, I released my hold. Cough, cough. The imposter kicked me away, anger etched on his face. Xiaorongshu, what the hell is wrong with you this early in the morning? Every movement and word he uttered mirrored Xing Xing so closely. If it weren't for the growing repulsion within me, I might have been deceived. I fought against the impulse to strike again, managing to question with the last remnants of my sanity. You are not Xing Xing. Who are you? Why are you in my Xing Xing's body? Ah, what was Shu doing just now? Is he trying to kill Xing? This is your Omega. How could Xiaorongshu suddenly lose his mind and not recognize his own wife? Be careful, or you might end up in a marriage graveyard. How could Shu possibly not recognize Xing? Could a time traveler have entered Xing's body? I just returned after finishing the story. This is indeed Xing, not a time traveler. Xiaorongshu, that scoundrel, claims he feels no spark when facing Xing, so he insists this isn't his Xing and is determined to find the real one. Later, Xing's heart is shattered, and he realizes that Xing is indeed his. He then attempts to win Xing back, leading to a tragic ending. In the end, Xing does not forgive him, resulting in a bittersweet conclusion. 04. The mere mention of bittersweet momentarily disoriented me. How could the conclusion of my story with Xing be bittersweet? It must be a mistake. We were destined for a lifetime of happiness. If I am not Xing, then who could I possibly be? Ashu, what troubles you? The familiar voice drew me back to reality. Xing's face loomed before me, and I could clearly see the deep worry and love reflected in his eyes. The scent of bluebells enveloped me, a soothing pheromone. But no matter how much he mimicked Xing, the imposter would always be just that. An imposter. I pushed him away with a force that would not harm Xing's body, exclaiming, "Get away! I don't need your false pretense. You have no right to imitate Xing's concern for me. Get out of Xing's body and return my Xing to me." With a resounding slap, the imposter struck my face, turning my head to the side. "Xie Rongshu, will you ever cease your madness?" The imposter took a deep breath, his voice chilling. "Why did you suddenly decide I am not Li Fanqing?" I turned back, glaring fiercely at him. "You, imposter, have usurped Xing's body." The imposter appeared to find my anger amusing. "So, once you've used me up, I'm no longer recognizable, is that it?" He adjusted his disheveled nightwear and stepped off the bed. "Whenever you calm down, let us discuss your delusions rationally." With that, the imposter left, and I unclenched my tightly held fists. The comments continued to flood in, mercilessly branding me as a scoundrel, offering no useful information. 05. I yearned to find Xing, yet I found myself at a loss for where to begin. I had no knowledge of Xing's current whereabouts or state. Had he become a ghost, exchanged bodies with the imposter, or inhabited another S-form? I dared not entertain the thought of whether Xing still existed in this world or if he had fallen victim to that imposter. No, I refused to believe that Xing was anything but safe, waiting for me in some corner of the world. The imposter had prepared meticulously, and no matter how I pressed him, he would never confess, potentially putting Xing in danger. Others would undoubtedly be deceived by the imposter, thinking I had lost my sanity. They would not assist me in finding Xing. I could only rely on myself, as only I could recognize the true Xing. Even if I knew nothing of Xing's current condition, I would traverse every corner of the world in search of him. On the streets where we might reunite, my heart would surely recognize my Xing before I did. 06. A week passed, and I scoured the entire city without success. Just as I prepared to venture to another city, Xing's closest friend, Yi Wansong, called me. Xing was an orphan, and aside from me, Yi Wansong was his closest confidant. He called, ostensibly to defend that counterfeit. "Xie Rongshu, where are you now?" "I'm heading to City S." "Going to find your imagined star?" The voice on the other end was laced with derision. "The star is right. You've truly lost your mind." I gazed out the car window at the passers-by, secretly hoping that the star might suddenly appear, and retorted lightly, "I am not insane." Yi Wansong's vitriol spilled forth, and after a brief commotion, the call was taken over by his alpha, Fujibai. "Xiego, I've sent you an address. Why don't you come over so we can have a proper discussion?" He paused briefly before adding, "Fanqing is here too." I was reluctant to squander my time seeking the star on their behalf, yet it seemed prudent to clarify matters with them to prevent future disturbances. Xie Rongshu has genuinely been searching for someone outside for a week, neglecting to find Xingbao. Xingbao has been crying every night, clutching the scoundrel's clothes. It breaks my heart. It's all Xie Rongshu's fault. That wretched man has blacklisted Xingbao, leaving him unreachable, and for days he has been unable to eat or sleep well, appearing significantly haggard. These comments fervently voiced the grievances of the imposter. They appeared to genuinely care for the star, a superficial affection. I closed my eyes, a sardonic smile gracing my lips. The address was at a private room in the restaurant where the four of us frequently gathered. I pushed the door open, and 3 pairs of eyes immediately fixed upon me. "Ashu." The imposter's smile was somewhat strained. "You've come." I gave him a cursory glance. He indeed looked considerably more haggard than described in the comments, which oddly uplifted my spirits. Ignoring the imposter, I turned to Yi Wansong. "If you have something to say it quickly. I'm pressed for time." Yi Wansong seemed poised to lash out at me but was restrained by Fujibai. "Wansong, don't act impulsively." Yi Wansong shot him a glare before turning to me with a barrage of accusations. "I entrusted the star to you, and this is how you treat him? Calling him an imposter? Ignoring him for days?" In response to his interrogation, I had but one reply. "He is not the star." "Ashu." The imposter's voice trembled slightly. "If you believe I am not Li Fanqing, there must be a reason." Fujibai chimed in, "Indeed, Xiegu, please clarify why. We can resolve any issues together." There was nothing to conceal in this matter. If they wished to know, I would oblige, because I no longer feel the spark I had with the star in his presence. "What?" I observed the same look of bewilderment on all 3 faces. I knew it. No one would believe me. "Xiegu, that reason is utterly implausible. You two met in university for 4 years. married for 7 after graduation. Isn't it entirely natural for the spark to fade after such time? Yi Wansong scoffed. I see it as him being restless, seeking an affair, which could rekindle that spark with someone new. I was unwilling to waste any more time with them and turned to leave. Xie Rongshu, the impostor blocked my path, staring intently at me. I cannot accept your reasoning. I was already growing impatient. Who cares what you think? Hey, I remember that in the Spark alternate universe, Fujibai was not a time traveler. His compatibility with Yi Wansong was only 55. After he traveled here, it soared to 95. Is it possible there's a hidden setting? That compatibility is linked to the soul? Exactly, there's also that hidden aspect. Xie Rongshu, go take a compatibility test with Xingbao. As long as the compatibility remains unchanged, he will believe that Xingbao is indeed the star. Meanwhile, Fujibai's voice rang out behind me. Xiego, wait, you and Fanqing should take the compatibility test again. If the results differ, then I'll believe your claims and help you find the real Li Fanqing. On the way to the hospital, Fujibai explained why he made this request. He revealed his greatest secret. The old Fujibai was a dandy, flitting through the flower beds without a care. The Fujibai who had traveled here was a naive and innocent college student. Two souls entirely different in temperament. If the impostor had undergone such a drastic change in character, my words would surely find credence. However, the impostor's demeanor mirrored that of the star flawlessly. I couldn't even find the slightest crack in his facade. Would such a meticulous individual leave such an obvious loophole in compatibility? I was well aware he wouldn't, yet I still subconsciously harbored a flicker of hope. My compatibility with the star was 99.85. Thus, if there were even the slightest discrepancy, just a hint, I could prove he was not my star. The expedited report reached my hands in less than half an hour. The report bore the compatibility score I had committed to memory. 99.85. Not a fraction off. Fujibai patted my shoulder. Xiego, do you believe now? Go apologize to Fanqing. He will forgive you. The impostor's eyes sparkled with hope, his joy evident. The 99.85 compatibility had always been my proud asset, and now it served as potent evidence against me. I tore the report to shreds. I've already wasted enough time with you. The star is still waiting for me. Without further ado, I exited the hospital and drove to another city. This city was where I had met and grown to know the star. I searched the campus all day, but predictably found nothing. Rubbing my temples, I inadvertently wandered beneath a peach tree. This was the tree the star and I had planted together upon our graduation. We would occasionally return to visit it when time allowed. In 7 years, it had grown quite tall. Little Peach, can you bless me in finding your Omega father? As the wind rustled, peach blossoms drifted down from the tree, as if Little Peach were responding to me. A sense of relief washed over me. After bidding farewell to Little Peach, I resumed my quest for the star. Perhaps it was indeed our cherished Little Peach watching over me. 2 weeks later, as I passed through a narrow alley, my heart began to race uncontrollably. The familiar feeling of exhilaration indicated that the star was nearby. Is that all the money you have? Not enough for us to drink. With a beta looking that ugly, who would have an omega earn money quickly? Ha ha ha. Hey, you guys are leaving already? I wanted to have some fun with this beta. You can't be serious. Brother, you can handle someone looking this ugly? This delicate skin and soft flesh will definitely be a delight. As for the face, we can just cover it, right? True. Then I'll join in on the fun. Ha ha ha. The vile words echoing from the alley revealed a group of ruffians bullying a beta. And that beta they were targeting was very likely my star. I rushed in, kicking over the alpha who sought to harm the beta. The moment I locked eyes with the cowering beta on the ground, I was certain. He was my star. I had found the star. Accompanied by the frantic rhythm of my heartbeat, an overwhelming urge to weep surged within me. Xingxing, I'm so sorry for being late. Who the hell are you to ruin my good fortune? Upon hearing the voice, Xingxing instinctively recoiled. The thought that if I had arrived even later, Xingxing would have fallen victim to this group of bullies ignited a fierce rage within me. Without a moment's hesitation, I charged at them with my fists raised. I am well trained, and their chaotic fighting style, despite their numbers, posed no match for my skills. Fearing for their lives, they scrambled away in disarray. It's all right, Xingxing. I've driven them off. You're safe now. As I crouched down, I finally got a clear view of Xingxing's face. 2 long and deep scars marred his forehead and right cheek, causing my heart to ache painfully. Such lengthy and profound scars must have caused him immense suffering. I pulled him into my embrace. Xingxing, I finally found you. Holding my beloved Xingxing tightly, I felt a sense of relief wash over me, but I could not help but pour out my heart to him. There was an imposter who took over your body and imitated you. He mimicked you so perfectly that everyone else was deceived. They wouldn't believe my words. They thought I had lost my mind. They even insulted me, calling me a scoundrel. Humph, I am no scoundrel. I only love Xingxing, the real Xingxing. Even if I know nothing about you, and even if no one believes me, it matters not. I still found you on my own. Thank you for saving me. The beta in my arms cautiously spoke. But did you perhaps mistake me for someone else? I seem to not recognize you. Xingxing does not remember me. My elation swiftly plummeted. No matter, I reassured myself. The mere fact that I found Xingxing is a blessing. Memories can always find a way to resurface. Even if they do not, I would gladly win his heart all over again, as long as it is him. Ah, you're hurt. It was an injury sustained during the scuffle, merely minor wounds, but that did not stop me from feigning injury before Xingxing. Xingxing, it hurt so much. Xingxing pressed his lips together and said, "Why don't you come home with me? I can put some ointment on your wounds." I nodded eagerly, following closely behind him, filled with joy. Wait, did Xie Rongshu actually find someone? This person bears no resemblance to our Xingbao at all. To say our Xingbao isn't our Xingbao, this scoundrel is merely looking for an excuse to stray after 7 years of itchiness. This person is unattractive, possesses a gloomy demeanor, and is a beta. How could he possibly compare to a single hair of my Xingbao? What is Xie Rongshu thinking? What is he thinking? Of course, he seeks novelty and excitement. An alpha looking to stray will devour anything. If Xingbao finds out, he will undoubtedly be heartbroken. My poor Xingbao has wasted 7 years on this scoundrel. With a mistress now in the picture, Xingbao will surely divorce the scoundrel. Once free from him, my Xingbao will shine alone. I recall the scoundrel signed an agreement stating that if he betrayed Xingbao, all his assets would transfer to Xingbao. When that time comes, the scoundrel will be left penniless, helpless to support his mistress. The torrent of insults on the screen did not dampen my spirits. However, the barrage of comments did remind me that I indeed needed to strategize regarding my impending divorce from the imposter. Now that I had found Xingxing, I could no longer allow the imposter, who had taken on Xingxing's body, to retain the title of my spouse. Nor could I allow Xingxing to be associated with me under false pretenses. As for those assets, anything that rightfully belongs to Xingxing must be reclaimed. Since the first time I followed Xingxing home, I had shamelessly sought every opportunity to stay with him. Though Xingxing lacked his original memories, he possessed another complete set. In this new memory, Xingxing's life had not been pleasant, leading to his timid and gloomy disposition. If I were not by his side now, he would surely fall victim to further bullying. I took him to places we had once visited together, recounting the moments we had shared, attempting to awaken his dormant memories. This is the peach tree we planted together. We named it Little Peach. I once said I was its alpha father and you its omega dad. You laughed at me, saying who would be a father to a tree. Remembering that moment, I could not suppress a smile. In the end, the one who enjoyed being a father the most was you. Xingxing reached out to touch Little Peach's branches. Little Peach. He gazed at the tree for a while, absent-mindedly tracing the rough bark with his fingers. Ashu. I sensed something was amiss with Xingxing's emotions and swiftly turned him around, discovering his eyes glistening with tears. Ashu, I'm sorry. I still can't remember. I'm sorry. I wiped away the tears from the corner of his eye. I took too much for granted and didn't consider your feelings. I plucked a peach blossom and handed it to him. Then let me start pursuing you all over again. Xingxing. Xingxing's face brightened with a smile. Our bond deepened day by day, and Xingxing grew more attached to me. I felt it was time to address the divorce with the imposter. I removed him from my blacklist and made my first phone call to him in a long while. Let us meet and discuss the divorce. Without waiting for a response, I hung up. I had no desire to hear the imposter's voice. Despite it resembling Xingxing's, it revolted me. Is Xingbao finally going to divorce that scoundrel? When did the scoundrel start chasing after his wife? I can hardly wait. Soon. Once the scoundrel's sensitive period hits, he will realize Xingxing's importance. After Xingbao helps him through it, he will see that Xingbao is the genuine article, while the one he sought is merely an imposter. He will wish to return and seek Xingbao's forgiveness, but by then, Xingbao's heart will be irreparably broken. The scoundrel's pursuit of his wife will end in a happy resolution for all. The sensitive period is indeed the most pressing issue I must address. A marked alpha's compatibility with his omega increases the severity of the sensitive period's onset. However, during the marriage, it is forbidden for an alpha and omega to erase their marks privately. Once the divorce is finalized, I will remove the mark. Thereafter, the sensitive period will not be as intense, and I can endure it with suppressants and sheer willpower. Even if, by misfortune, the sensitive period were to erupt before the divorce is finalized, I do not believe I would betray Xingxing due to physiological responses. Yes, I am confident in that. The impostor arrived punctually for our meeting, but he appeared rather disheveled. Yet, as I said before, it was of no concern to me. Did he truly believe that seeing him in Xingxing's body, reduced to such a state, would elicit my sympathy? I scoffed inwardly. It is only the existence of Xingxing that stirs my compassion. If I were to worry about him simply because of a physical form, then I would indeed be the scoundrel. I handed him the prepared documents. Here's the divorce agreement. Sign it if there are no issues. The impostor did not even glance at it but instead asked, "Do you truly believe in your heartbeat theory?" I frowned, my patience wearing thin. Enough with the nonsense. Just sign. Hey, you've fallen for someone else, haven to you? If you want to stray, just admit it. There's no need to concoct such revolting excuses to repulse me. I regarded him with a cold demeanor and remarked, "You are most aware of whether this is merely an excuse." The impostor fell silent, signing the divorce agreement without even glancing at its contents. I raised an eyebrow. The impostor's personality mirrored that of Xingxing, and at times it could yield unexpectedly advantageous outcomes. I tucked away the divorce agreement and reminded him, "The Civil Affairs Bureau is closed this weekend, so remember to be at its entrance promptly at 9 o'clock next Monday morning." I never anticipated that within the span of just 2 short days, unforeseen events would transpire. On Monday morning, as I prepared to depart for the Civil Affairs Bureau, my estrus phase struck. I found myself at a loss for words, as it often seems that the very thing one fears tends to manifest. "Ashu? Ashu? What's wrong?" Xingxing's anxious voice echoed in my ears. I embraced him, gently stroking his head in an attempt to soothe him. "It's nothing, Xingxing. My estrus phase has unexpectedly flared up. Just let me hold you for a moment." The severity of an alpha's estrus phase marked by a highly compatible omega is indeed as formidable as rumored. As time passed, my rationality gradually ebbed away. My lips instinctively roamed along Xingxing's smooth neck, seeking out the familiar gland. The scent of sandalwood pheromones surged forth from my gland, enveloping Xingxing entirely as I desperately sought to entwine him with the bellflower pheromones. However, Xingxing was merely a beta at present, and no matter how I endeavored to entice him, he bore no pheromones and could not perceive mine. The inability to locate Xingxing's gland and the consequent failure to mark him incited a wave of panic and anxiety within me, culminating in an uncontrollable bite upon his neck. The metallic taste of blood erupted in my mouth, briefly snapping my awareness back to reality. I licked the wound on his neck, then gently pushed him away, struggling to utter, "Xingxing, please step outside for a moment and allow me to be alone." Xingxing shook his head firmly. "No, I can't leave you alone. I'm worried." Just as I was about to persuade him further, my phone rang. "Xingxing, please answer the phone for me." The call was from the impostor, presumably inquiring why I had yet to arrive at the Civil Affairs Bureau. Seizing the moment while Xingxing spoke, I dashed out, locking myself in the adjacent guest room. "Ashu, Ashu, open the door. Don't leave me alone in there. I'm scared." Hearing Xingxing's voice quivering with tears filled me with sorrow, yet I felt powerless. Allowing him in would only result in further harm to him. I lost track of time until I heard the sound of the door being opened, followed by the entrance of several individuals. The walls of Xingxing's room lacked soundproofing, and with an alpha's acute hearing, I distinctly heard the impostor's voice outside. An alpha already marked by an omega, without his omega to soothe him, may resort to self-harm. The higher the compatibility, the more severe the estrus phase, and the greater the risk of self-destruction. If I don't go in, he will perish. Yi Wansong, nearly beside himself with rage, blocked the entrance, insisting, "Then let him die. Even if Xie Rongshu has betrayed me, the years we've spent together cannot simply be dismissed. I cannot stand idly by and watch him torture himself. Once I help him through this estrus phase, we will divorce, and I will have the mark removed, ensuring we never cross paths again." The door was forcibly pried open from the outside, and a figure stepped inside. The scent of bellflower wafted in slowly. The sandalwood pheromones surged within me, like a wolf drawn uncontrollably to its prey, yearning to entangle. I recognized that this was not my Xingxing, yet the pheromones fervently clamored within me, proclaiming him as my omega. Here it comes, the moment we've all been waiting for, the beginning of the scoundrel's quest to reclaim his wife. In their current predicament, one views the other as an imposter while the other feels utterly disillusioned. Should they engage, it would no longer be an act of love, but rather one of hatred. Though I detest Xie Rongshu, I find myself somewhat intrigued by what lies ahead. The phrase's quest to reclaim his wife and an act of hatred danced before my eyes, accompanied by the incessant encroachment of bellflower aroma upon my consciousness. The pheromones and estrus phase, once capable of forging a profound bond between Xingxing and me, now threatened to drive me toward the imposter, leading me to betray Xingxing. Furthermore, Xingxing had transformed into a beta devoid of pheromones and estrus phase. In light of this, these burdensome physiological traits could be disregarded. Before the imposter could reach me, I swiftly retrieved a pair of scissors from the drawer and plunged them toward my gland. Xie Rongshu, I heard the imposter scream. Ashu, Ashu, how could you do something so foolish? Don't scare me. I heard Xingxing weeping. The barrage of comments before my eyes paused for a moment, then surged forth in greater numbers, twisting and writhing as though some malfunction had occurred. Upon regaining consciousness, I found myself in a hospital. The moment I moved, Xingxing jolted awake beside me. Ashu, you're finally awake. He pressed the bell, summoning the doctor. After examining my condition, the doctor stated, the gland removal surgery was highly successful. Your body will no longer produce pheromones, and you will no longer experience estrus phases. However, an alpha without a gland will be unable to mark an omega, effectively rendering him akin to a beta with slightly superior physical qualities. It's all right, I replied with a smile, gripping Xingxing's hand. This is just fine. At noon, the imposter arrived, followed closely by Yi Wansong and Fuji Bai. Yi Wansong regarded me with his usual disdain and rolled his eyes. You, this scoundrel, truly know how to remain chaste. You're quite ruthless with yourself. I couldn't discern whether he was complimenting me or mocking me. Fuji Bai, however, gave me a thumbs up. Though I cannot abide your scoundrel behavior, I admire your resolve. The imposter presented a basket of fruit to Xingxing, and I watched apprehensively, fearing he might inadvertently harm Xingxing. Xie Rongshu, once you are discharged, we will proceed to finalize the divorce. As for the assets you provided me, I will return every single cent. I will not keep a penny. What? Yi Wansong erupted. This scoundrel betrayed you and hurt you, and you refuse to take a single cent from him? Are you an absolute fool? This 7 years has been wasted on a dog, but you must take the money. It is rightfully yours. The imposter shook his head. I want none of his belongings. What kind of extraordinary treasure is Xingxing? A previously vanished comment suddenly reappeared, followed by a string of garbled text. After 3 minutes of garbled chaos, the screen filled with red exclamation marks before vanishing entirely. I quickly glanced up to gauge the imposter's expression, and indeed, I caught a fleeting glimpse of confusion upon his face. He finally spoke. Xie Rongshu, do you truly wish to divorce me? Yi Wansong cast a doubtful glance at the imposter. Xingxing, why do you ask this? Do you not want to divorce him? The imposter's smile appeared strained. No, I merely feel that ending our 7-year marriage so abruptly seems rather hasty. Yi Wansong appeared even more perplexed. Is that so? The imposter, fearing he might say too much, hastily concluded with, we'll divorce once you are discharged, and left in a hurry. Xingxing offered me a peeled orange slice, bringing it to my lips. Ashu, he seems so strange. I was taken aback by Xingxing's sensitivity. What seems strange? I can't quite put my finger on it. He feels like an entirely different person. Upon hearing this, I smiled and took the orange from Xingxing's hand, sharing it with him, one segment at a time. After all, he was an imposter. No matter how closely he mimicked the original, there would inevitably come a day when his true nature would be revealed. Xingxing took excellent care of me, and before long, I was discharged from the hospital. As soon as I stepped out, I eagerly reached out to initiate the divorce from the imposter. This time, he did not exhibit any last-minute hesitation. Perhaps the previous cracks in his facade had been too glaring, and he feared that another attempt would lead to his exposure by others. Once I obtained the divorce certificate, I hurried back home to celebrate with Xingxing. In the thick of our intimate atmosphere, I produced a proposal ring. Xingxing, let us marry. Indeed, I was rather impatient, unable to contain my desire to be bound to Xingxing once more. As soon as he acquiesced, I was ready to whisk him away to the Civil Affairs Bureau to obtain our marriage certificate. However, Xingxing grasped my arm, saying, "Ashu, wait a moment." "What is it, Xingxing?" I inquired. "Isn't it a bit too hasty to get the marriage certificate?" Fearing my misunderstanding, he quickly clarified, "It's not that I am unwilling to marry you. I just am not prepared yet." "All right then," I replied, taking his hand. "We shall wait until you are ready." Xingxing gazed at me, hesitating as if he had something on his mind. "Ashu, whatever you wish to say." "Xingxing, speak freely. There is no need for reservations in front of me. It's just that After a moment of inner turmoil, he finally mustered the courage to voice his thoughts. "Ashu, do you truly love me? The Xingxing you described is a radiant little sun, while the one I encountered before was bold and beautiful, and he touched the scar on his face, feeling rather self-conscious. "And I am ugly, gloomy, and unappealing, entirely unlike the Xingxing you adore." I gently took his hand and leaned down to kiss the scar on his face. "I cherish my Xingxing, regardless of his appearance. If it were not for Xingxing, then even if that person possessed the finest character and beauty, I would not be drawn to him. But if it is Xingxing, even if he were to become a toad, I would still love him." Xingxing chuckled at my absurd metaphor, saying, "What a ridiculous comparison. I would never turn into a toad." I grasped his hand, placing it over my heart. "No matter how you change, my heart will recognize you before anything else." Xingxing resolved his inner conflict and agreed to accompany me the following day to obtain our marriage certificate. I was so exhilarated that I could hardly sleep that night. That evening I had a dream. In the dream, I returned to that fateful morning when I discovered the imposter had taken over Xingxing's body. This time, the imposter's flaws were glaringly obvious. It was almost immediately evident that he was not Xingxing. Yi Wansong and Fujibai also recognized this, and the three of us confined the imposter, pressing him to reveal the whereabouts of the real Xingxing. The imposter did not resist for long and confessed. He was a conqueror, tasked with using Xingxing's body to win me over without breaking character. He erroneously believed that as long as he occupied Xingxing's form, he would complete his mission, only to find that I saw through him at once. As for Xingxing, being one of the protagonists in this world, they could not simply erase his soul. Thus, they created a body for him in this realm, erasing his memories and fabricating an entirely new set for him, transforming him into a different person altogether. In the dream, I still followed the thrill of my feelings for Xingxing to find him. I pursued him anew, divorced the imposter, proposed to Xingxing, and married him. After obtaining the marriage certificate, the dream shifted once more, returning to that familiar morning. The same sequence of events repeated dozens of times. The imposter's performance improved with each iteration, yet he remained distinct from Xingxing. Until this particular attempt, the imposter sealed away his own memories, retaining only those belonging to Xingxing, and attempted to brainwash me. However, he did not anticipate that I would still recognize he was not the real Xingxing. Upon learning the truth, I found it utterly absurd. The so-called conquerors, in pursuit of their so-called missions and points, continuously invaded our world, disrupting our lives. Fortunately, I was able to resist successfully each time. The moment I held the marriage certificate in my hand, an electronic voice echoed in my ears. World 0518. 100th attempt at conquest failed. World passage sealed. Extermination of the conqueror initiated. Then my vision faded to black. When I opened my eyes again, it was that familiar morning once more. I quickly turned to look at Xingxing. The flutter in my heart assured me that this time it was indeed the real Xingxing, not some imposter. I sighed in relief and rolled over, resting on Xingxing. The scent of bluebells, which I had not inhaled in ages, enveloped me, momentarily intoxicating my senses. Xingxing stirred awake from my movements, sleepily swatting me away. "Xierongshu, stop bothering me. I want to sleep." I chuckled softly and pressed a kiss to Xingxing's lips. "Xingxing, shall we do it once more?" "Absolutely not. Go away." Though I could not hear his rejection over my laughter, his playful slap felt like a reward. With Xingxing by my side, I was the happiest alpha in the world. The end. Thank you for listening. I look forward to sharing our next story.